I'm Senator Mike Martucci, and I represent the 42nd State Senate District. And for those of you that have been here many times with us, you know we've taken these stairs many times on this issue, as have I. But today, it takes a little bit different form for me. And it's because there's someone who I personally know who's no longer with us today because of the policies that my colleagues are talking about here. On January 15th, Assistant Chief Billy Steinberg of the Forestburg Volunteer Fire Department, 37-year-old Billy Steinberg, a member of the Laborers Local 17, a father and a son, lost his life fighting a structure fire in Monticello, New York, that was set by a serial arsonist who was out on bail reform. Let me tell you about this story. This arsonist was arrested, not once but twice, for arson in the third degree. Felony arson in the third degree and the fourth degree require a judge in the state of New York to release you, mandatory release for felony arson in the third and fourth. He was also charged with burglary in the third as well. He was charged not once but twice, most recently arrested by the New York State Police on January 14th, the day before Billy Steinberg died in a fire set by the exact same arsonist. The exact same arsonist, literally one day later, was released without bail, set a fire that killed a fireman, that killed a father, that killed one of our friends and one of our neighbors, someone who I personally know, someone who I stood with proudly at his firehouse this last January, where as Assistant Chief, we celebrated a wet down of a new piece of apparatus. And what I can tell you about Billy is I had two opportunities I spent time with him. Once was on a Santa run, when we spent time going around the community giving Christmas gifts to seniors and kids. And the second opportunity was at his wet down. And Billy is a fourth-generation fireman. His son is in the volunteer fire service in the same house, as is his father, as was his grandfather. So this policy is affecting people in our community, our friends and our neighbors, and Billy is just the latest example of this. And I would tell you that it never hit closer to home than me, than when I stood 2 Saturdays ago on a cold day in the middle of Broadway in Monticello and watched the funeral procession come up the street to St. Peter's Church and watch Billy's father carry his fire helmet into that church. If that isn't proof enough that this failed policy needs to end today, I don't know what is. So I would tell you, I've never been prouder to stand here with my colleagues fighting against this bad policy. Now it takes a personal perspective for me. It's affected my community, it's affected every community across the state of New York, and it's affected the Steinberg family in ways that you can't imagine. Parents should never bury their children. Children should never say goodbye to their 37-year-old father. And our volunteers who bravely protect our communities across the state, our volunteer firefighters, shouldn't have to put their lives at risk because of bad policy from this building. So I look forward to continuing to fight this fight with my colleagues as we stand here together, because we have to do it for the victims. We have to do it for people like Billy Steinberg. Thanks, Mark. Thank you.